Welcome to Postcards from Provence and part 2 of our 1200 kilometre cycle from Devon back to the south of France. Join us having crossed the Loire and sitting at Pellerin eating lunch before heading on again into what felt almost like a different world. We said hello to the horse and pottered on, just noticing how the scent in the air had changed. The houses too, orange roofs now overtaking the grey ones. We even saw some sunshine. We pottered along quiet roads through little forests on our way down towards the Marais Breton. It's a truly beautiful and astounding area. You cycle across marshes, huge salt marshes as far as the eye can see. There's deep ditches that run out to the sea, but the whole area is bordered by a low dike and is stunning to cycle through. The wildlife and the birds are incredible. We arrived at our friends right down by the sea, spent a glorious evening walking and watching the sunset over this magical landscape. It's truly beautiful. We woke in the morning to a hare in the garden and a muskrat swimming in one of the local ditches before heading off for a day, not on the bikes, but being taken out to the beautiful IΗle de Noirmoutier. We crossed on the causeway, only open at low tide. It's a cobbled road that gives access to the island just at low tide, and for a very short time either side. It was busy with cars, with people out, walking across the mudflats, gathering shellfish in every direction. Apparently a few each year do get caught out, and there's rescue posts that you can climb, just in case you get stuck. Happily we didn't, so we joined the queue to get onto the island, and travelled along its length to this beautiful spot at the far end. It was like being on the Mediterranean. Golden sand, turquoise sea, and we even paddled. It was the most beautiful afternoon exploring this place with our friends. We watched people on the stone jetties catching whitebait, buckets full to take home for tea. We stopped at the salt marshes and bought salt from local producers, and then sat on the beach with a beer, enjoying the last of the sun before heading home and realising we couldn't go back the way we came. We enjoyed another glorious sunset, a good night's sleep, and woke with the birds in the morning to head off on the next stage of our journey. We shadow cycled our way across the marshes, following the ditches, making our way through this unique landscape. The only sound that kept us company were birds and the occasional plop from the sound of the ragondans jumping into the water as we passed. After the rain of the first couple of days, this was a glorious way to start the day. Empty roads, flat roads too, which made a change. Morning sunshine, and just a sublime peace as we pedalled out. We passed pretty little houses set by the rivers, and eventually left the marsh behind on our way to the Marais Poitevin, following little wooded roads again, which of course were utterly empty. It was like being on a cycle track. We stopped in Marshes for a second breakfast, which was needed, and then stopped for lunch in the same place as we'd stopped 2 years ago. We said hello to the goats, passed through pretty villages, and then saw our first vineyards of the trip as we entered the Marais Poitevin area. The further we travelled in, the deeper the vines were. And we ended up that evening at Marshes in a pretty campsite down by the river, but unfortunately no food on hand, so Andy had to get on his bike and cycle again. The next day we had to revert to old-fashioned tactics, using just the map as we headed out of the town on a day that proved to be one of the most challenging so far. Blue skies were incredible, but what was also incredible was the headwind. It really was brutal.
I think it's fair to say it's a bit windy.
Luckily it was a spectacular ride through maize fields, across open plains, but the wind just didn't give up. Before long, though, we were cycling into the Marais Poitevin that we know and love, the Vendee. Crossing the Vendée, and enjoying entering a new area again. Stopped for lunch at this lovely little spot by the river. Incredible scrap iron work, making a lovely sculpture, and a perfect covered little picnic bench for us too. We enjoyed our lunch in the shade and out of the wind before heading on again on our way to Dunviks and then on to Coulon. Even on the way through here, the wind didn't give up, but the views were spectacular and just kept us going. We even managed to smile. And before long we were on the quiet roads at the sides of the rivers that run through the Vendee. A beautiful area again, just waterways that run in every direction, weeping willows into the edge, and again peaceful roads, just a joy. We stopped for a drink in Dunviks and then headed on again before arriving in IΗle, where all the hire boats were lined up for people to take out for a little loop on the river. Before on into Coulon, a place we know well, even though we weren't expecting the music festival. But it was quiet, we had a beer, a good night's sleep, and woke the next morning to walk into the village, say hello to the cat, and watch the balloons rise up over the river. It was a glorious morning, although the orange sunrise suggested there was weather to come in. Once the bikes were packed up, we set off again, heading through the maize fields and woodland on our way to the next stop, the beautiful town of Rochefort, and a much-needed moule marinière for lunch. Rochefort is an unexpectedly beautiful and wonderfully historic town, so we'll enjoy a day off here exploring and getting under the skin of it before heading on again. I hope you enjoyed travelling with us. See you next time.